So today I have the pleasure to discuss with Marc, who is the CEO and founder of Tungle. Hello, Marc.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So thanks for speaking with us today. Before we start our discussion, could you in some word present your company and Tungle, the service associated to Tungle?
Yeah, sure. So Tunngle is a company based in Montreal that I started about 4 years ago. And we are trying, and we're doing a good job at trying to solve the pain of scheduling meetings, especially for business professionals. All the emails back and forth that people go through to find a time to meet, well, that's the problem that we solve.
How did you get the idea about Tungle?
Yeah, so it's interesting. 4 years ago, I was with another startup called Nimcat Networks. It was in the voice over IP market. And we sold Nimcat to Avaya. And what Nimcat had built was a phone system for small businesses, basically eliminating the need for a central server for the phone. So that, what it did, it basically brought down the cost for a phone system for a small business to 4 or 5 people, for a small business of 4 to 5 people to something like $200 per person, when before it would be something like $1,000 per person. So that was the benefit of Nimcat. And so after selling the company to Avaya, we thought, you know what, is there another problem that has a similar challenge? And when we looked at it at the time, when people, for small businesses, what they had was Exchange servers. Exchange server can cost like $500 plus the license for Outlook, plus you need servers, plus you need to know how to install it and maintain it. So there's a lot of costs associated to it. So with that, we said, oh, can we try to figure out with this web thing a better way to build something like that? Now, looking at it even more in detail, when we went down that path, we said, hold on, people are getting Exchange servers because they want to share calendars. So let's look at doing that. But then looking at it even more, we said, you know what, the reason why people are sharing calendars is because they want to schedule meetings.
Right.
And so then we looked at meetings and we said, well, you know what? 60–70% of people's meetings are with people outside their company or dispersed. And so there was really no solution to solve that problem. And so that's how the problem that we're still focused on 4 years later is the one that Tungle is spending all our time on.
In a way, you just identified a job that people had to do, a job to be done, and you spotted that some years ago, and you decided to build a solution to fulfill that need.
Exactly.
Could you explain to us what is the business model behind your company and behind Tungle? Is it also based on a kind of freemium model, or?
Yeah, so it is a freemium model. And, you know, there's a lot of different opinions on when should freemium be put in place, when should it be a paid service or advertising and so on. And the way I look at it is freemium works if you've got two components. First, if you've got a huge user base that you can go and get. Business professionals out there that use electronic calendar. So we've got a huge market there. The second is that it needs to have a very low cost of user acquisition. In other words, you shouldn't have to spend a lot to gain a user. And the normal virality of our service, I mean, you used it, so you know that you can schedule meetings with people that are not Tungle users.
Right.
And they never need to become Tungle users. But you're using it and you're scheduling meetings with a lot of people. Some of them, and what we're seeing as a conversion rate is 40% of them like the service so much that they then convert to becoming Tungle users. So what happens is there's that pyramid effect. As one person starts using it with other people, then other people start using it, and then grows rapidly. So our cost of user acquisition really remains low. And so that's why we decided to employ the freemium model.
What are the next steps to generate some revenues for the company? Are you going to launch additional services linked to Tungle so that you get some revenues? That's the goal?
Exactly. So we'll be launching our first premium services. And then over the course of the first quarter, we'll have some additional services.
Okay.
Not necessarily related to scheduling, but related to bring your calendar to be more intelligent for you. So those things are going to be coming out in the first quarter of next year.
Okay, so the goal, you create a freemium model, you try to get a lot of users using viral system and not without a lot of advertising, trying to keep the cost as low as possible, and then when you have created the community, you then start to build new services, new application. That's the way.
Exactly right.
And how do you spot those kind of new application, because that will define the success of your company? So are you making some kind of survey or talking with some of your customers?
It's actually a little bit of everything. We are a big fan of getting a lot of feedback from our users, and you'd be surprised of the amount of feedback that we're getting and ideas that help us shape our own roadmap. So users' feedback from it really useful. Then is, at the end of the day, when you build something, you kind of have a gut of where you want to bring it, and you kind of validate it with external groups or people and so on. So we kind of already knew what we wanted to build and what we wanted to make free versus what we wanted to charge for. Where we're using surveys is not to figure out what to build, but figuring out how much people are willing to pay. Typically, we'll go out to a select few of our users and say, look, you're using our service, everything that you got is free, and that will stay free, but we're looking to add these additional services. We all always keep it an open-ended question, because we don't want to start leading saying, okay, are you willing to pay $1, $5, $10 per month, or whatever? We leave it totally open, and then we get a lot of feedback from that. So that's how we use surveys.
From your point of view, what are the main challenges? Because there are so many stuffs on the web, you need to be known. That's one stuff, but you explained to us that it's kind of the user are promoting the system, but are there any other kind of challenges that you encounter when you try to launch the IDE?
Yeah, no, so at the end of the day, I think the success of any startup relies on their service. And I'm talking about a web startup, right? At the end of the day, if your product or your service is bad, people won't use it. And if it's good, they are going to use it. So, when I started Tungle, actually after raising some money, you get some money in the bank, and a lot of startups, what they do once they get money, they start spending it, having a clear vision of what they want to do. And so instead of doing that, what we did internally is we created, are you familiar with the Maslow hierarchy of needs?
Yeah, right. Yes.
So we created internally what we call the Tungle hierarchy of needs to help us stay focused on where we wanted to bring the company and what needs to happen when, and so that we don't skip any steps. And so at the bottom of our pyramid, we said, let's make sure we solve the problem.
Okay.
First and foremost, let's focus on building a product that solves the problem. The second tier, once we knew that we were solving the problem, and how we knew that is through our metrics, success rate of meetings, and number of meetings being scheduled by people, and so on. So that's the first. Then the second, what we decided, the next criteria was, let's make it as naturally viral as possible.
Okay.
So keep in mind, we're not spending any marketing dollars, right? Every time someone would say, oh, we should go and sponsor this show, or we should do this marketing event, or whatever, we said, well, where are we in this pyramid? Oh, okay, now we're at layer number 2. Let's not spend money yet. Let's make sure our product is naturally viral by itself. And so that was the second tier. Then the third tier was, okay, now that it's naturally viral, let's put some fuel behind this and do some marketing to help spread the word. And then that was the third tier. So we didn't go and raise money and say, oh, we need everybody to know about Tungle, and let's start spending marketing dollars. That would have been, in my opinion, a mistake. Instead, we said, let's focus on solving the problem. Once we knew we got good metrics there, then we start focusing on the virality. Then we start marketing. And then once we start having the good, what we call in Canada, the hockey stick curve, right?
The good side.
Yeah, once we started to get the good curve, then now we were looking at monetization.
Okay.
So that's why, it may have taken us a while to get to monetization, but we did that on purpose because we wanted to make sure that we followed our pyramid and make sure that we build the company on a solid foundation.
Okay. And so if I understand also correctly, the strategy behind Tunngle, at the starting point, you already decided we go for a freemium model, but we have a clear idea where we want to go, and we already have a kind of idea on which are the kind of application that will generate revenues for the company. So you had a kind of strong idea of, okay, we need to do this, this, and this, and reaching the step every time and see if you fulfill the requirement of each of those steps.
Yeah, and it's not to say that we didn't alter our opinion as we moved along. I think it's important to be flexible. You know, the way I look at it is, I don't believe in people that set a 5-year plan and execute towards only that plan. I think things move too fast, and that you'll miss some opportunities, or your opportunity that you're going after is already after by someone else, and so on. So the way I look at things is, you say you put some important milestones that you want to achieve in a certain period of time. Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? I wouldn't do more than that. And then after, either you've achieved it or not, but you get to that 6 months and you reassess. Yeah. With the assets that I've got today, either user-based technology, resources in the team and all that, with the assets that I have today, is the direction that I'm going towards, is it still the right one? Or should I start altering it? Yeah. And then you do your next milestone, and then you reassess, and then you go. You don't, blindly
not looking too far, making small increments and reassessing every time where you are and what you need to perhaps change to stay on track.
Yes, and the challenge with that also is that, entrepreneurs, we always look at the positive side of things, so we often have pink lenses and always think that the things are better. So we internally try to be pessimistic and say, look at how bad we're doing, look at all the problems, and now what do we do with this?
Yeah.
And so I think it's a frame of mind to be pessimistic as to what you accomplish. Not pessimistic about the future, but pessimistic as to what you accomplish, and say, okay, we messed up here and here and there, although there was really good successes. But, and then you look at your weaknesses and your strengths, and then you can move on.
About the different way to increase the traffic and to create a community for your website, your services. You already talk about trying to build a product which will be pretty much viral on its own. Are there any other tips or tricks that you used to increase the traffic?
So it's interesting. There's one thing that we did, and it was, at one point we wanted to get even more feedback from users. And what we did is, and that was in the earlier days when we were getting maybe, 200 users a day or something. Now, I'm talking about many years ago. And so at that time, what we did is I would actually send out an email to all the people that registered and say, okay, are you having, I'm Marc, I'm the CEO of Tungle. You just registered yesterday. How do you like the service? And if you're having problems, let me know. And we got tremendous feedback from that, people saying, it's great, I hate it for this, or this is not working, and then we were able to support them right away because we got the direct feedback. So, of course, with time, I can't be sending that many emails every day myself. So we automated an email that is exactly what I would write to the other people, but it's automated. So now every single user that's subscribed to Tungle gets that automated email from me, but reply still comes to me, and I still respond to them. It's not, the percentage of people that reply to an email is not 100%, so I can still manage that. It still keeps me busy, but the point is we're getting a lot of feedback. And what that allowed us to do was, sometimes the people replying are people that are well known in the internet business or in different industries. And then right away, you see that in their signature, CEO of, this well-known company, or, a CIO of a large enterprise that we're trying to get into, and so on. And you're reading this and you're like, oh, and then you can start building a relationship with this person.
Great.
Because you've got that response. And then you can start, doing some additional business development activities, marketing activities, and so on with these different people. So it didn't start to be a tool to do that, but it ended up it helped and served us very well and continues to serve us, and we're not stopping it because we're getting tremendous feedback, and it's helping us discover new opportunities that we never thought we would get. Because oftentimes people will try a service and never take the time to respond, or to say, I have an idea for you. But now with this email, they get an email, and then it's easy for them to hit apply and write 2 sentences, and you get the response. So a little trick that we used that we didn't know was a trick, but finally ended up being a good trick for us.
On the same aspects, if we start talking about pitfalls, then what would be your recommendation? What are the pitfalls that people should try to avoid when they start a business on the web?
Yeah. It goes back to what we kind of talked a bit about, our pyramid and so on. I think one of the pitfalls is wanting to get your company known too fast. I need to create buzz. I need to be on TechCrunch. I need to be wherever in the media so that people know about me. And the reason why I'm not getting a lot of users is because people don't know that we exist. And I think that that's wrong. I think that if your service is good, people will talk about it naturally. And when you see that it's growing naturally without you having to do anything in marketing, that's when you invest. And so, and I did that mistake when I started Tungle. Before even raising money, you're all excited about what you're doing, so you want everybody to know about it. And so, you go talk to some reporters of, at TechCrunch or me. You knock on their door or whatever, and then, they see your enthusiasm, so they write about you, but your product is not ready. So you see, a huge uptake in terms of registration, but right away, a week later or several days later, goes back down to nothing. So it was totally product. When you do that initially, especially for your first launch, if your product is solid, then it will just keep on going. And so, back in 2006, when I started the company, we did our first beta or whatever, alpha in 2007, and our product wasn't ready. It was buggy, and all that. And it wasn't properly tested and so on. And so we did this huge marketing thing because we wanted people to know about us. We got a huge uptake and then right away back down to zero. And we're like, oh, crap. And so we actually threw away everything that we did, learned a lot, rebuilt everything. And then a year and a half later, we had a new service still trying to solve the same problem. And at that time, we didn't launch it right away. We put it in the hands of people. We got feedback and basically followed our rule, and that helped, and here we are now.
Yeah. So again, trying to start slow, understand, improve, and then be ready for the big uptake and the big jump.
Yeah, and don't spend money for nothing. Don't spend your time on marketing or anything. Focus on product.
A last question for today. Any advices for people that are willing? You already talk a lot and provide a lot of advice on different topics, but any other advices that you would like to share with people that are willing to create their business on the web?
Yeah, it's one that boils down to 2 points. It's all about the people you work with. And I mean, every company, every entrepreneur will say that. But it's not just getting good talent and getting people but it's also making sure that the people that you associate yourself with, either investors or partners and so on, are aligned with what you want to do with the business. And I'm not talking about vision of where you want to bring it. It's saying, I want it to be a lifestyle business where I'm going to make a good pocket of money and I'm going to pocket it and so on. Or, no, I'm swinging for the fences and I want to be the next Google. Or, I'm happy with being between that and so on. But the point is, you need to align yourself with people that understand where you want to bring this business as a lifestyle for you. Or else it just creates misalignment. And when important decisions come, either raise money, to sell the company, to wind down, whatever it is, that's when misalignment happens, and it destroys companies. So from the get-go, you need to be able to make sure that that's an important discussion that you have with your partners, investors, and so on as to where you want to bring this business.